I'm Lily O'Reilly. This is Lily O'Reilly Reviews, and I've taken over my friend's kitchen to teach you how to make eggs. Okay, so I promise this is not a cooking lesson. A lot of you have been asking for how to make eggs for some of the ovipositor toys that I have. And if you want to make eggs like this, slimy, sloppy, gooey eggs for hand or ovipositor use. Or maybe you would prefer your eggs to be a little larger. Either way, I am more than happy to show you how to make this happen. Okay, so to start off, you're going to need two things. You need 1 cup of just standard water. Any water that you're comfortable putting in your body will do. And you need 2 ounces of gelatin. This is standard Knox unflavored gelatin. Each one of these is 1/4 ounce, so we have 8 of them. And you need to bloom your gelatin first before you actually heat it to activate it. So we start off by putting our 1 cup of water into our saucepan, and then you sprinkle each packet of gelatin into the water. And the gelatin is very unassuming. So, into the water. 1. Oh, I need a whisk. 1 moment. Okay, no whisk in sight, but I did find a spatula. And you just gently stir in the gelatin. This is a lot like the process of blooming yeast before you make bread. You want to give it time to soften before you heat it to activate it. It's already starting to get fairly thick. I think I'm going to add another cup of water just to kind of thin it out so we don't have super hard eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Are you bothered by that?
Yeah.
So now you can stop here if you want your eggs to be incredibly firm. Like if you're pushing them through something like an ovipositor, or you're going to be putting them through extreme duress. This will create an incredibly firm and resilient egg. I, however, prefer my eggs to have a little more squish. I like them to have some bounce. I like that texture a lot more, both in terms of how I use them. I don't use my eggs as often in an ovipositor. I typically insert them by hand. So, I am going to gently mix in up to an additional cup of water. It's a lot like making biscuits. You know when it's right. And the goal here for me is just to loosen it a little bit. Nope. And the other thing is the smell of this gelatin is not going to be particularly pleasant. I won't lie to you, because it is just clean, pure gelatin powder. There's no sugars, there's no additives. And it smells very meh, like stinky tap water. Okay, we're getting closer to the texture I prefer, which is, there we go. A little softer, a little more able to fall off a spoon, and that was about half a cup. There would be a half a cup. So I'll just finish folding this in, and then we let the gelatin rest in this cold water for about 10 minutes to give it a chance to wake up and soften up. And then we will come back and I'll show you how to turn this mashed potato looking goop into actual eggs that you can use on your loved ones. All right, give it 10 minutes. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes and I have our molds. Now I had to ask my potential bottom which one they would prefer, because you have the option of 2 ounces of gelatin will make, come back here, will make roughly 4 chicken egg sized, or like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 smaller quail egg sized eggs. And the molds look roughly like this. They come apart in the middle. Same thing for the chicken eggs. There's a little lip at the top that you can use to grab and open them. But my bottom has decided they want quantity over size. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this mold and set it off to one side. Now what we do in the meantime is we turn this to low. How do we? There we go. Turn this to low. Low, 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 low. There we go. And what we're trying to do here is dissolve this to remove any bubbles. You can see how after 10 minutes, it has seriously refirmed. And now we just gently, gently, gently dissolve all of this gelatin down. Remember to stir gently. The faster you stir, the more likely you are to have bubbles in your eggs. I personally do not care about bubbles in my eggs because by and large they're going in a butt. And butt eggs do not need to be pretty because the person cannot see their butt while it's happening, usually. But look at how quickly it dissolves over very, very low heat. We're not boiling. This is a slow and steady process. You cannot rush this. So, gently, gently. Sana, sana, kalita, dharana. Just continue until you have a liquid. You'll have some bigger chunks. You can just gently moosh them to encourage them to break up. Funny, you know it. Doesn't that wiggle? I'm just trying to find chunks at this point, flatten them out, encourage them to become one. And despite my best efforts and some very gentle stirring, we still have foam. If the foam matters to you, you can skim it off. It does not matter to me one bit. These will not by any stretch be picture perfect eggs. That's about liquid, I think. I'm not seeing any more big chunks that are worth fighting. It mostly is just forming a goo. So from there, turn your burner off. Give it a little bit of additional stir. See in the middle? You can see the color of the gelatin. See that yellow? That's what color your eggs will be. This is the point where if you want colored eggs, because reasons, I see you monster fuckers, you can include body safe food colorants. So what you do is the whole filming system moves over and you very, very gently pour into the molds. This should be exactly enough to make all of these eggs. I am slightly concerned we've made too much. All right. Well, we will know in a second because step 2, is to take your top and press it gently down and into your mold. And they're sticky again. Shit. Ideally, I might have enough left to do an egg. And here's our fancy bonus shot of the eggs getting squished. I do not have enough gelatin for complete eggs, but we will get 3/4 eggs, and that's enough to go in a butt. So now these go into the fridge for a couple hours, and we'll check back. Okay, so now that your eggs are in your fridge, you've got, a couple hours to kill. Let me show you my favorite lube for ovipositor, or just if you want a lube on hand. This is a veterinary compound called j-lube. It is a powder that when mixed with water becomes a hand lubricant used in obstetrics for livestock. I'm not going to lie, it does come with some risks, specifically if it breaches your organs via a tear or a rupture and makes it into your abdominal cavity, it can be unsafe. You should not be rupturing organs. We should be okay. So what I plan on doing is when we're done with our eggs, I marinate them in a j-lube, both to give that eggy alien feel and to help with insertion to keep them from sticking to your bottom's mucous membranes, sticking to each other. I just prefer the feeling. So we will yet again start with 1 cup of whatever kind of tap water you're most comfortable putting in your body. And sadly, with j-lube, it is also kind of like making biscuits. You just put some in and you stir. Actually, this will work better with a fork. I forgot how well it clumps up. So, if you wind up having trouble with your j-lube clumping or being difficult, you can always run it through the microwave to help break up the chunks and get a better texture. But just a few quick puffs of j-lube and we're already starting to pick up viscosity. You can see how much more texture it's picking up. See? This is very close to the level that I want it at for casual egg anal play. And as you can see, one of these bottles will last you a long, long time. So, there's some chunks. If the idea of chunks in your lube bothers you, you can either run it through the microwave, gently mash them with a fork, or as I typically do, just kind of pick them out. But there we go. Easy 5-minute craft, and you have an excellent, creepy, eggy ovipositor lube. This is also one where, come to me, and this is a controversial take, but I've used this to make fake cum before for, you know, like faux bukkake and stuff like that, because if you play around with the powder and the water, you can change the texture. Here's where it gets controversial. I have used white food colorant, titanium dioxide, to achieve a whiter pigment. Some people, like, I believe there's some stuff about it being a carcinogen, but, you know, you make your own choices in that matter. I've also successfully dyed this with food colorant, purple, green, the same way that you can dye your eggs, you can dye your lube. And it really opens up new avenues in terms of, you know, just adding dimension to your fetish play. All right. Let's check on the eggs, huh? Okay, so it's been about an hour, and let me show you what we got. First off, our j-lube has had a chance to set up a little bit, and it has a much better viscosity now, which is going to make it perfect for the eggs. Second, our eggs are ready to come out of the fridge. You can tell because see how the gelatin showed up in between the eggs here? You can actually poke it to determine the firmness. This is hard enough to come out in chunks. So, to get these out, you grab a hold of the top edge and the bottom, and you very gently pull. Eggies. Now it appears that we had a little bit of an issue, and we did not get full eggs on all of them. 2 of them came out as half eggs. But as you can see, the gelatin is surprisingly clear. It's got a soft bounce to it. If we had used the original proportions, this would have been a much firmer egg. But I like a little mush, mush, mush. You know, you guys were almost perfect. Yeah, that'll do. Cool. So, to unmold, it is very easy. You give it a little wiggle wiggle. Pick off any weird bits around the edge. And as you can tell, we probably could have poured a bit more in there and gotten perfectly round eggs. I don't mind this because then you have a good place to put your thumb when you're popping them into someone. Cleanup on this is fairly simple. If you soak the tray in warm water, a lot of the gelatin will actually dissolve and come loose. But if you remember, we partially filled the egg. This one is a bit of a beast to get out. I don't know if I have the finger strength for this. And through the power of somebody with much stronger hands than me, we now have access to our eggies. And, of course, these are not full chicken egg size, but they do make good little torpedoes. Okay, so 2 ounces of gelatin got us 4 3/4 eggs, an entire bowl of little oviposipods, and they look so alien floating in the jelly like this. Yeah, so back to me real quick. Some people do have concerns about what happens to the eggs once they're inserted. Generally speaking, if you're inserting the eggs for anal play, you can just poo them out. If not, the heat from your body will actually cause the gelatin to break apart, disintegrate, turn into a thick goo that will eventually get pooed out. The gelatin is body safe. You can also use these vaginally, but I do not recommend leaving them in to break down because I personally feel like it'll throw off your vaginal pH. But it's not toxic, damaging, harmful, poisonous, venomous, or otherwise a problem, you know? So yeah, that's what I got, and hopefully that helped you understand how to make eggs happen in your home. Now, as always, if you want to find me at the places that I exist online, that is find.lilyoreilly.com. That includes everything that I do, Safe for Work, NSFW, eggs, things like that. If you would like to drop me a couple bucks on Ko-Fi, that is ko-fi.com/LilyO'Reilly. That, $3 covers all the gelatin for me to put eggs in places. It's never required, but it's always appreciated. And yeah, I think that's it for me today. I have eggs and I'm gonna go put them places, so bye guys. Exactly one of my hair that managed to make it into that egg. Right there.